Talent Talk Tuesdays is all about harnessing your God-given talents to live with greater clarity, purpose, and joy. You are wonderfully made, my friends. May all we do be for God's glory. Hello and welcome. This is Talent Talk Tuesdays, and I'm your host, Lisa Mladinich. Today's episode is the fifth installment of a five-part series on purposeful self-care. So the key concept, again, throughout the series is that purposeful self-care is selfless. That's hard to say, but it's got to be founded in virtue so it can draw us closer to God. I'm saying this repetitively because I want it all to be in context of how we live as people of faith. So today we're looking at self-care for those of you in the executing domain. And as I've said before, we all have all four domains in us. So listen to the extent that it sounds like you. Right, so to review the basic needs of the executing talent themes and the executing domain, go back and listen to episode 21, where I really just focus on those. Okay, and that sets you up for getting clarity on how you could create your own beautiful, healthy, holy self-care. Remember that you're unique and unrepeatable. All right, so remember again, too, I'm just going to keep repeating this. And actually, because this is the last in the series, I'm going to read this section again of the Catechism of the Catholic Church, paragraph 365. It says, the unity of soul and body is so profound that one has to consider the soul to be the form of the body. For example, it is because of its spiritual soul that the body, made of matter, becomes a living human body. The soul makes it a human body. And then it goes on to say, spirit and matter in man are not two natures united, but rather their union forms a single nature. Wow, it's like mixing, red and blue makes purple. It's no longer two separate colors. It's one. Okay, those two aspects of physical and spiritual are one nature. So that means that caring for your souls and caring for your bodies, your whole self, your personality, your spirit, your mind, your gut, your heart, that honors God's design. He has done something very beautiful in weaving you together, all right? Remember that scripture tells us we are wonderfully made. That's what all my programs are based on, Psalm 139. That's why you can write to me at lisa@wonderfullymade139.com, all right? So it makes no sense if we're wonderfully made to neglect what is wonderfully made by God. And before we go on to this executing domain, I just want to remind you all again that you're not just one thing, and you may be listening for someone else. Trust the Holy Spirit. It's really important to just have some understanding of where you are strong, where you are weak, where you have needs, and what exactly refreshes and energizes you so that you can be strong to do the will of God and also know what drains you. What your design can tell you about God's purpose for your life. And if you need some coaching to get clear on that, talk to me. If you need someone in a different specialty than what I do, I will refer you to somebody good. I know loads of great Catholic coaches and some great Christian coaches too, if I'm not speaking just to Catholics here. All right? So again, listen for somebody you love too. You never know how you might help them step into their world and help them be happier and healthier too, so they can better serve the Lord. All right, back to executing. This domain is primarily people that are really talented in this domain are all about getting things done. People high in executing are task-oriented and often very organized. They often have strong habits and are really energized by routines. They also take on responsibilities gladly, like they almost can't get enough of them. They work very hard because they love to work. Okay, think of executing as getting things done. That's their happy place. Let's look at scripture for some insights on how God sees this collection of talents that he purposed for his glory and your joy. All right, the letter of James chapter 2, verses 14 to 17 says, I love this. What good is it, my brothers, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to him, go in peace, be warmed and filled, without giving them the things needed for the body, what good is that? So also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. That's strong language. Your faith is dead if there are no works. Now, that does not mean if you are a bedridden person that your faith is dead. You can be praying for people, offering your sufferings. There is always something we can do. It doesn't have to be physical work. All right. It can be intercessory prayer. Right. So, but there are lots of different kinds of works. Look at the corporal and spiritual works of mercy in the Catechism. They're fantastic. Okay. All right. So we don't want to get stuck on an idea of what is work. But also hear St. James in this telling the pontificators, the people who are Christians in name only, or in verbiage only, in whipping out their scriptures to prove, that they've got all the credentials to be considered a faithful Christian, when underneath there's an emptiness, okay? They do nothing for others. It's all about themselves and their own standing or their own self-image. Their souls are in danger. Their faith is dead. Okay, so these people who are doers, when that doing is given out of love for God, oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. These are people who really walk the walk in their faith, okay? I feel really pretty certain that St. James was not addressing them, these executing talented people. All right, they'd be right there, from the earliest centuries of the Christian churches, working hard for the kingdom, getting it done. And they'd be enjoying it. They'd be really energized by that. Okay, so with these thoughts in mind, I'm just going to make some suggestions, as I have been the last few weeks, for executing domains, purposeful self-care in the same 6 categories as usual: the spiritual life, relationships, rest, diet, exercise, and play. All right, so people high in executing, start taking notes and making lists, because you love to make lists and check things off. I know you. So you can make lists of all the possible ways that you can use these ideas, or just generate your own, do some brainstorming, because you are such a good list maker. All right, let's start with purposeful self-care for executing in the spiritual life. Number 1, create daily prayer routines that start and end your day in quiet and calm. That is a challenge for you. The routines are going to be great for you, but just being calm, being still, and letting God be God. I love Exodus 14:14. I will fight for you if you will only keep still. And he doesn't mean that we should be immobile, but that we should be resting in him. And that can be a real challenge for you because you're so gifted at doing. But do practice it and ask God for the grace to be still. Right? Number 2, make a list of your favorite devotions and religious activities and start planning ways to integrate more of them into each week. Now, if you're already stretched completely thin and, like I'm thinking of myself at the moment, with all your work and all your family and everything else, but you're also like I do, liturgy of the hours and other things, there's already a lot there. I'm not going to add more religious activities, but you might have the stamina, because you're high executing and you're a high stamina person, to add something more just out of delight, integrating more of it into your week because it just feels right for you. Always try to strike a balance, though. Don't overdo it. Number 3, as a discipline before Mass or before starting the rosary or other rote prayers, again, sit in stillness for at least 1 minute. Just try it. And just coming into God's presence in simplicity, allowing him to pour into you. So passiveness is not in your DNA. But it's okay to just sit and just trust, let go of some of your self-sufficiency. That could be a real place of error for you. So practice that, being simple, being little, letting God be big. Okay, number 4, consider scaling back your commitments, because most of you are overcommitted. It feels really good for you to take on responsibilities, and you tend to take on too many. And it makes it hard for you to have family time and quiet time and prayer time to just rest. So scale back, just pray and let God show you which ones to let go of. Create space for more prayer. Even ministry commitments can pile up, and what you let go will give someone else an opportunity to serve. God may have someone else in mind, but you're gathering up the responsibilities so fast that other people can't get in there. Think of it that way. You're not supposed to carry them all, right? So and in the process of that, you'll be growing in humble reliance on God, and that's always a good thing. You're never going to not be doing. That's not going to be your problem. All right, let's look at how you can pour into and do some self-care around your relationships in this domain. All right, those high in executing, try this. Number 1, rather than contributing your talents and your drive and your take charge capabilities in your organizational sense just anywhere where people are just asking you. Search out organizations and contribute your time and talent to places that really align directly with your personal areas of values, belief. People high in executing are often very values driven, and you may have personal things that really just mean the world to you. Try to find those opportunities. That kind of harmony will energize you on a profound level. That'll be very restorative for you to be around people and work that is aligned with your values. Think about that. Pray about that. Number 2, practice soliciting the contributions of others. Remember I said that you can kind of gather up too many things and everyone else can kind of feel pushed aside. You might even be like me in the sense that when my daughter was young, I was a bit of a helicopter mom, or I can do that for her. I just overdid it. And I had to learn a lot from other moms, which was so good for me. But practice soliciting the contributions of others, inviting other people to contribute in your family, on teams. Intentionally create space for them to share deeply about their ideas. Give them space, give them the spotlight before you speak your mind, because you're so good at taking charge. And your ability to spot the weakness in other people's plans, you're going to want to hold back on that. You're probably really good at looking at anybody's plan, whether it's your kid starting a lemonade stand, and you can see all the things that could go wrong and all the things that have to be planned properly to execute it well. You might want to just hold back most of that and just on a case by case as needed basis, once they've fully fleshed out their ideas, give them space. I did a whole episode on this, which was your marriage's 360-degree view. Take a 360 anyway, something like that, 360-degree view of your marriage, where two people, one that was very creative in ideas and the other very strong in executing, and they had to learn to understand each other and learn how to work that out. So sometimes people high in executing can spot all the problems in a plan and say it too quickly and just kill the plan. It can make people feel very criticized, and it can stop a family or a team's creativity in its tracks. So you have to know when, the pace, the gentleness, and the considerateness of sharing what you know, and really support people in making plans, because you're going to be able to help them make those plans as good as they can be. You're going to be able to analyze where something needs to be mitigated or planned for, etc. I could go on all night, so I'm going to try to be brief. But you don't want to appear to be tearing them down. Okay, you'll be able to experience the joy of contributing if you're more sensitive in this way, without the stress of misunderstandings. People may be telling you you're controlling, too critical, things like that, but that's not your intention. You're trying to help. So learn how to help well. And that's going to really alleviate your stress and make your life a lot happier, I promise. All right. Number 3, use humor where possible to explain the way you have a tendency, because you're probably fairly analytical, to ask a million questions and gather comprehensive data before you commit to an opinion or a decision, right? You need to deliberate. You need all answers to questions before you're going to step into something. You might step in pretty quickly, but you need answers first. You don't go blindly into actions, okay? But you can use a little humor. Like the way my brain works, as you tell me that, I have like 5 different questions. Would you mind if I ask my questions? Because that helps people lower their defenses. You're not treating them like they're stupid. You're not questioning their judgment by asking questions. It's just the way your brain works, okay? It's how God wired you. It energizes you as you put all the pieces together. And it can help them too, if you can do it in a way that makes space for them to, for their dignity to be protected, essentially, okay? All right, number 4, prayerfully start to define success in your most important relationships. Really listen to this. Define success in your relationships and then set clear goals for making them stronger. In other words, we can become workaholics in these executing themes because work feels so good. And we can run ourselves into the ground, but we can also badly strain our relationships. That's why so many really successful entrepreneurs are on their 2nd or 3rd marriages. They're so excited and thrilled with working. They have failed to set success goals in their relationships, and they need that. So start defining it together. Pray with your spouse or your religious community, or whoever it is that you work closely with or that you live with. Start to define success in those relationships and make those achievements that you work into your planning. It may sound cold, but it's not. It's how you're going to show up authentically and energized to give your best to those people. Start to define success around these important relationships. Okay. Number 5, since you can tend to be a workaholic, schedule relational time with loved ones on a regular schedule. Remember how scheduling and habits can be energizing for you. So create schedules around that too. Goals and schedules. You can have a game night with friends, a date night with your spouse or your, whoever you're dating, a day trips once a month or something like that. Vacations every year or every 6 months or however often you go. And then reward yourself in some way for showing up and being truly present to the important people in your life. And I promise you, you're going to have so much more success in those relationships that will reward you automatically. But keep in your own mind that these are goals you're setting. These are habits you're forming, schedules you're creating, because you're using your talents to love the people in your life and to show them that they are valued, that they're precious to you. Okay, number 6. Don't be so hard on yourself and the people you love. You're so good at finding problems and solving them that you can start to feel like you're a problem and everyone else is a problem, and you can see problems everywhere. You can really run amok with your problem solving talent because, again, everything can seem like a problem. Do your best to lighten up. Ask God to give you a sense of humor about yourself. And ask your loved ones to hold you accountable. Just tell them, that's the way my brain works. I'm a problem solver by nature. I can just see a problem under every rock. I can see a problem in the mirror. So, maybe somebody can help you laugh about it a little bit and just learn to manage it better. All right. Okay. So every strength has its weaknesses. This is perfectly normal. All right. Let's look at rest. And this is definitely just resting is the most challenging category for executing. All right. So number 1, an hour before bedtime, physically cross off everything on your task lists that you got done today. Physically do it. Well, if you have something on obviously that's digital, whatever it is that you do to mark something as done, whether it's Trello or your phone or whatever it is, cross it off. Do that. Go through that ritual. It feels really good. And then add anything to that list of things you're crossing off that you hadn't originally planned to do, but you did get done. Add them in and cross them off. I'm not kidding. It feels so good. And you have much clearer sense of what your day was like and everything you accomplished. That really helps you to enjoy that feeling of accomplishment and rest. Okay, it's enough for today. Right? That's really important. All right, number 2, and the reason I'm saying an hour before bedtime is looking at your task list can be stimulating. So at least an hour before bedtime. Okay, number 2, after you cross off today's achievements, do a brain dump of tasks you desire to complete for the next day. Dump it all out of your head so that you're not thinking about it in bed. Just dump them. And if you have to keep something next to the bed to write them down so you don't forget them, that's fine. That works for you. But don't make your bed the place where you do work. Okay, try to separate yourself from that. And really capture your thoughts so that you'll get to look at it again in the morning. You can always add to it or change it. All right, that's just to give you some peace. Very hard for a lot of executing people. Okay, number 3, again, before bed every night, update your success list. Remember I said cross off everything you accomplished, have that feeling of accomplishment, but really select out what are your biggest wins. What did you really accomplish? Whether it was practicing patience or landing that big sale or making the number of cold calls you promised yourself you would do, or whatever that may be, whatever business you're in or ministry or whatever your vocation. What are your biggest wins and accomplishments? Did you take that prayer time? Did you manage to sit still and listen to the voice of God in your soul for a minute? Okay. Make sure you take note of your success list. I like to call it a fiat list, those moments of grace when you said yes to God. Take time to praise God for those things, each one. Acknowledge a sense of completion. Again, that's a nice thing for your brain. It boosts endorphins. Those are the happy chemicals in your brain, and they're super healthy for your brain. But at the same time as you're praising God and giving thanks, you're opening to God's blessing. You're opening your heart. It's really good for you. All right, number 4. If you struggle to sit or kneel quietly in prayer, if you're a restless spirit, right? Meditate with beautiful sacred images using rote prayers like the Rosary or the Divine Mercy Chaplet so that you both have a clear visual focal point and when you're done. That's the nice thing about the Rosary and the Chaplet. When you're done. And for someone who likes to get things done, This is not coldness in prayer. You can pour yourself into it. You can focus with all your heart on that beautiful image, and it will help you to get more out of your prayer life, but you'll also know when you're done. Okay? And you need that. It's just the reality of how God wired you. All right, number 5, schedule your before bed wind down and let go of the day ritual. Okay, this is going to be a thing that you're going to design. What do you need? What are the steps to get to the point where you can actually let go of your day? This is going to take time to work out. It's going to evolve over time. It's going to take some head scratching and some prayer and some experimentation. But let that be a task to be completed, the steps of that wind down, so that you can feel that sense of accomplishment. All right, so check it off in some way with each step, even if you do it mentally, like the device is off 1 hour before bed, all your screens and devices, boom, an hour before bed. Science tells us, right, they overstimulate our brains, so get them off and plug them in somewhere away from your bed. Please get them out of your bedroom. You might have a cup of herbal tea. Do some stretching. I've said this before about the strategic thinkers. Get out of their heads and into their bodies. Well, you need to do the same thing. You might need an affirming conversation with a loved one. Just download a bit of your day. And ask for what you need. You can say, listen, I'm going to tell you about some of my wins today. Could you congratulate me? Could you hug me? Could you just hold my hand and maybe squeeze it when I tell you something that's important to me? I really need a little affirmation that I did enough so I can rest. And you might also have something in your routine about listening to music or relaxed reading, but make sure that you know what works for you. Keep trying until you figure this out. You've got to crack the code so that you can rest. God wants you to rest. He doesn't want you to think it's all up to you. It's really all up to him. You're giving your yes. You've done enough today. And if you didn't get anything done today, if you legit just had a rotten day, give it to him. It's such an act of mortification and humility to just say, you know what? Every day is not a big achievement day, but God loves me, right? So be gentle with yourself. It's really going to help you. All right, let's look at diet. Number 1, clearly define your health goals, because you love goals, in vivid detail with achievable milestones, right? So by this date, I'm going to do this or whatever it is on your diet, and set specific habit changes, because you like routines and rituals and habits and order and schedules, right? So start to work that out. Clarify for yourself what success would look like for you. What would your life look like? What would it feel like? What kind of help would you need? What would the schedule have to look like? What would you have to let go of to make this possible? Work it out. And again, coaching can help with this. It can help you get clarity pretty quickly. All right, number 2, since you love data, typically people, there goes that fly again. Since you love data, since you love the facts and understanding all the parts of something, try some of there are so many apps out there for counting steps and calories and all those things. Just keeping track of what you eat and how much you move will give you a sense of achievement and standards for success that can keep your motivation humming. So try some apps. Not all of us love digital stuff, but a lot of executing people do. All right, number 3, set up an accountability system and celebrate your wins with a friend or a trusted colleague. You need that. You need a little celebration in your life. And meet on a schedule. Again, you like that order and that regularity to problem solve with each other and support each other's progress. Like if you're getting stuck, help each other, talk it through. That's going to be a nice little relational note in your life too. All right, number 4, identify any health issues or potential areas of weakness in your own or your family's dietary habits. Look at what they're getting too much of. Is it junk food or sugar or alcohol or whatever it might be? Take a look at the patterns in your environment and brainstorm some solutions together. Bring everybody on board if you're in a family situation or a religious community. And remember, give everyone a fair opportunity to contribute and be heard. That's important because you're always going to have lots of ideas and solutions. All right, let's look at exercise. Number 1. Evaluate your fitness habits and get some exciting goals on your planner for short-term and long-term. Okay, you want to be really looking at yourself as having really specific goals to aim for. That's going to help. Number 2, schedule regular periods of activity and exercise that break up your workday and provide stress relief. You can be all about work and lose a lot of time when you can not realize that 2 hours have gone by and you haven't left your desk chair. It's not good for your body. You might want to set up alarms on your phone or something like that, but set reminders so that you get up and move, and it'll relieve your stress. Prevent workplace injuries too. like stress injuries. Okay. Number 3, find ways to exercise that mesh with your values and beliefs. That's a head scratcher, right? But I'm thinking like dressing modestly. Like when I go to the gym, I'm in my 60s. I'm not going to wear something real revealing to work out. That's goes against my values and my beliefs, right? I'm a woman. I don't want to be looked at like that, and especially at my age. But modesty, okay, that's a value when I exercise. Family first might be one. Like I have a friend who's an athlete, but he's doing all these things that are kind of awkward and discombobulated. It's like herding cats to do things with his family, with his wife and young children. So what are the values and beliefs that drive you in your exercise that make it feel like yours? That makes it feel like you belong in it. Might be something that has to do with protecting the environment or saving money. So think about that. Think it through. Okay. All right, so the final category is the very neglected play, especially with executing. Okay, number 1, try, and you've heard this from me before, but this is a different angle on it. Go with your friends to an escape room. Here's the angle on this, not just the working together part that I said with the relationship building, but work together to solve the puzzle, right? You're a problem solver. You'll shine in your ability to help others identify the solution. You can actually drop hints because you're going to be ahead of them most likely, but in a lighthearted atmosphere. That helps you to stretch your muscles in a really fun, low stress atmosphere. Okay, so good for you. All right, number 2, enjoy a tactile hobby that requires concentration. Like it might be knitting or crocheting or something like that, but it might be playing chess. It might be putting, doing solutions-oriented games like jigsaw puzzles or crosswords or Sudoku. So think about, little hobbies and fun things that you can do that really require concentration and effort and where you accomplish something. That'll be nice for you. Okay, number 3. Start following a sport with complex rules. Remember how you like all the facts? You like to understand how things work. You like solutions. You might be watching a football game and get to know it well enough to realize, oh, man, it's time for this kind of a play. Or, oh, that was a bad call by the ref. Or you're watching baseball and you know all the ins and outs. Or Formula One racing. Oh, here's the next qualifying race. And look at the numbers and look who got disqualified. And that kind of stuff, that analysis. And the high achieving people involved, those professional competitors, that's going to be really engaging for you. Just, that's sort of passive, you might think, but your brain is having fun. And of course, you might want to go out and play a sport yourself. Absolutely. Number 4, rearrange or reorganize something in your living space just for fun. Now, some of you know somebody who does this. They change the furniture around, they redecorate, they reorganize for fun. All right. If you're nodding your head and saying that's me, you're very high in executing. That can actually be fun for you. Now, we don't want to pretend that work is always fun just because it energizes you, but something like that actually can be fun. You can be very creative. All right. So I hope something here sparked your own thinking about you and how to really take good care of your talents, really good selfless self-care that's considerate of others, that helps you to be a better, more holy person, that helps you to be refreshed, rested, enthusiastic, engaged, living in the talents God has given you to live in, right? You're that part of God's body that you are. Pray with your notes, put some of your ideas on a list, right? And start getting them done. Make some choices. Reach out, lisa@wonderfullymade139.com if you have any questions or comments, or you want to share some of the cool things that you're doing. I would love that. And as we've done throughout this series, we're going to end with a word from the Lord. This is from the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 7, verse 21, where Jesus says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven." Hear that doing. Hear the task. What is God's will? Okay, so you are gifted executing, people, at doing the will of God the Father when your talents are ordered toward the Lord. All right, so you walk that walk of faith that's so pleasing to God. This concludes this 5-part series on purposeful self-care. I'll be back again next week with something new. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next week. You are wonderfully made, my friends. Please have no doubt of it. We all have our sins and our failings. We never feel like we're enough. That's a condition of our world and the life that we live. But that's not how God sees us. He has made us wonderfully. Thank you for listening. God bless you. I'm praying for you. Please pray for me too. Bye now.